Hello and welcome back. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at adverbs of frequency. Firstly, what is an adverb? Well, adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, or another adverb, and they normally carry out these functions by answering questions such as when, how, where, in what way, and to what extent. So, for example, when, she arrives early. She arrives early. If we ask how, he drives dangerously. He drives dangerously. If we ask where, they go alone everywhere. They go everywhere alone. In what way? He eats quickly. He eats quickly. And to what extent? It is terribly hot. It is terribly hot. So the adverbs are early, dangerously, alone, quickly, and terribly. An adverb of frequency, however, shows you how often something happens. This can be always, as in 100%, or never, 0%. So for example, we have always, which is 100%, and never, which is 0%. And we go down, and then down to 0. So often, or sometimes, would be about 50%. So let's take a look at an example. I always go shopping. Or I rarely go shopping. We can use all of these adverbs of frequency. It depends on how often something happens. So always, usually, regularly, normally, often, sometimes, occasionally, rarely, seldom, never. So always, usually, regularly, normally, often, sometimes, occasionally, rarely, seldom, and never. So it goes from 100% to 0%. So let's use some adverbs of frequency in some sentences. How often do I go shopping? I sometimes go shopping. I sometimes go shopping. How often do I play football? I always play football. I always play football. How often do I gamble? How often do I gamble? I never gamble. I never gamble. How often do I eat vegetables? How often do I eat vegetables? I rarely eat vegetables. I rarely eat vegetables. How often do I drink coffee? How often do I drink coffee? I often drink coffee. I often drink coffee. So, I sometimes go shopping. I always play football. I never gamble. I rarely eat vegetables. And I often drink coffee. It's quite important to put the words in the correct order. And the order of the words and the position of the adverb changes depending on the verb. So, these adverbs can go before the main verb as the verb is an action verb. So the order is subject, auxiliary, the adverb of frequency, then the verb, and then the rest of the sentence. So, John, the subject, auxiliary, can, adverb of frequency, usually, the verb, play, football. So John can usually play football. Julie has sometimes got homework. I, no need for an auxiliary, always get up at 6:45. So I always get up at 6:45. So as a recap, if there is an action verb in a sentence, we begin with the subject, followed by the auxiliary, followed by the adverb of frequency, then the verb, and then the rest of the sentence. However, the adverbs of frequency come after a form of to be. So if there's be verbs, we start off with the subject, then the be verb, then the adverb of frequency, and then the rest of the sentence. For example, Susan is never late. Susan is never late. I am always happy. I am always happy. They are normally chatty. They are normally chatty. So as a recap, if there's a be verb in a sentence, firstly the subject, then the be verb, then the adverb of frequency, and then the rest of the sentence. At the beginning, well, the adverbs often, usually, sometimes, and occasionally can start the sentence. For example, often I go swimming. Often I go swimming. Usually we surf the internet. Usually we surf the internet. Sometimes I go to school. Sometimes I go to school. And Occasionally, I visit the doctor. Occasionally, I visit the doctor. So we have often, usually, sometimes, occasionally, and they can start the sentence. What about at the end? Sometimes these adverbs can go at the end of a sentence. So, I read often. I swim sometimes. I play football occasionally. I play football occasionally. I run usually. I run usually. So often, sometimes, occasionally, and usually can be at the end of the sentence. So I read often. I swim sometimes. I play football occasionally. And I run usually. Thank you very much.